you're planning to apply for BTO flat this year, this upcoming October 2026 BTO launch is officially the biggest one on the calendar, and it is packed with surprises. We are talking about almost 8,000 units hitting the market, projects sitting so close to the MRT station, and also a few hidden dark horses that might actually give you a realistic shot at a valid number. In this video, I'm going to share several interesting things you need to know about the upcoming October 2026 BTO launch. The first thing is that the amount of flats being offered is more than the June launch. So HDB is increasing the supply for the final stretch of the year. When I totaled up the number of flats for October, the total is 7,970 flats, which is definitely more than the 6,860 units being offered in June. This is of course a total number across all different flat types. Why this is a good news? Because more units naturally mean a slightly better mathematical chance of securing a ballot number. And then another thing that I've noticed is that mega projects will dominate in October. So 4 out of 7 launches are going to be mega project because they have more than 1,000 units. Why does this matter? Well, aside from bringing excellent on-site facilities at most of those mega projects, but large-scale developments are also good to establish the definitive resale benchmark for the entire neighborhood. In other words, it'll be much easier to ask for a higher price to your future resale buyer if you have a lot of other neighbors already selling at a high price. By the way, HDB BTO launches are not always like mega project. Compare this with October 2024, where back then, HDB launched 15 projects, but most of them are smaller in terms of size. But this upcoming October 2026, the projects tends to get bigger. And then another thing that I'm very excited about October is that the fact that 5 out of 7 projects are within short walking distance to an MRT station. In fact, a couple of them are so close to the MRT station that even Google Map having difficulty calculating what is the distance because like it's literally next to it or just across the street or something like that. And being so close to the MRT station is very good for your day-to-day living convenience as well as future rental and also resale potential because it will be so convenient. As I have been analyzing BTO launches for several years, I can confidently say that this is actually quite rare. Typically, in a BTO launch, only a few projects are located near an MRT station. So the fact that in October, 5 out of 7 projects are within walking distance to an MRT station is actually a very nice surprise. And then another thing about October is that there will be more Turun Flexi being offered. So in October, there will be 2,900 units of Turun Flexi being offered, and this is significantly more versus June's offering, which was 2,287 units of Turun Flexi. This is a very fantastic and concrete move by HDB to support singles and seniors, and they really kept their promise to increase the pipeline for Turun Flexi. However, while HDB enforces lower limits to guarantee units for seniors, again, I would reiterate that I really wish that HDB would introduce a maximum unit cap for seniors in a particular project because as HDB increasing the number of Turun Flexi units in mega projects, but if the upper limit is open-ended, this actually run the risk of accidentally creating oversupply for seniors and not really addressing the oversubscription issues that has been faced by singles for many years already. And then another good news about October is that Bayshore is back on the menu. So after 2 years, the highly anticipated Bayshore precinct is making a comeback. HDB is launching 2,500 units in the Bayshore area across 2 different projects, which is basically just across the street from one another. It's bound to be a popular project. These 2 projects are bound to be very popular among those who wants to live in the Bedok area because it will have easy access to the MRT station and a lifestyle right next to the beach. Not to mention the potential resale value down the line. Another thing that I've noticed is that I think in October, there is a dark horse that will emerge. So most property analysts are hyper-focused on Toa Payoh and Bayshore because those are the obvious fan favorites and they aren't wrong. But in my humble opinion, we need to keep an eye on Yishun. Why? Because it has all the hallmarks of a dark horse because it will be classified as a standard project, meaning it doesn't come with subsidy clawback, only 5-year MOP, and then the owner can just rent out the whole flat after MOP, etc. And then other than that, it is also within walking distance to the Khatib MRT station. And also it will come with a much friendlier low entry price tag. All of these factors combined made me believe that Yishun will be one of the fan favorite in this upcoming October launch. Most probably it will be oversubscribed. Another thing I've noticed about October launch is that the government seems to gear up for the society to age gracefully. Why? Because two projects will feature fully integrated kidney dialysis centers and another will house a dedicated community care apartment block alongside an active aging center. I think this is part of the government's commitment to take care of our aging population, and that is something to be applauded for. I would say that the only note that I have is that I wish HDB would refine the method to apply for a CCA because looking at the demographic, community care apartment is targeted for those beyond 65 years old, and I think the concept of CCA itself still requires more socialization. So I think combining CCA launch with the typical BTO launch only in the 8 days application period is a bit too fast-paced, I would say. So I wish HDB would change the approach, maybe lengthen the application window for CCAs, or maybe have more outreach program to socialize what is CCA to the targeted demographic, and I believe that families would need more time to discuss social care arrangement and logistic before locking it in. And then another aha moment for me when looking at the October 2026 BTO launch is that I finally understand why the previous Toa Payoh Ascent BTO was classified as a prime instead of a plus. So when Toa Payoh Ascent project was launched back in July 2025, I was quite sure that it should be a plus, but then it was announced to be a prime. And then I was a bit surprised, why is this project a prime instead of a plus? Because for example, like Berlayar Residences or Berlayar Rise, we can still understand why those projects are prime, right? But then Toa Payoh SN, why is it a prime instead of a plus? Well, this is basically my personal speculation. I think they classify Toa Payoh SN as a prime because the upcoming massive Toa Payoh mega project in this October is going to be a prime as well. Because they basically sit directly across the street from one another and then just like 1 year gap in terms of the launch, it would be very awkward if Toa Payoh SN is a plus, but then this upcoming Toa Payoh mega project in October is prime. But then looking at the details, right? This Toa Payoh mega project in October comes with so many on-site facilities. It's much closer to the Caldecott MRT station. So to me, it still makes sense if this one is a prime. So seems like HDB is simply trying to align their tiers to keep things fair because, of course, HDB is aware of the master plan until, how many years down the line, right? In summary, do I think that October BTO launch worth the wait? I would say actually yes. They have a lot of solid offerings in this upcoming October. And then if you think about it, if you miss October, then the next window to apply for a BTO would be February. But then historically, the February BTO launches offers fewer different locations because as you know, HDB runs the sale of balance flats or SBF exercise in February as well. On top of that, BTO launch prices and subsidy recovery clawback rates are slowly but steadily climbing. So my suggestion is that if you are financially ready and you find a project that you love in October, then don't wait around. Just try to apply and wish for the best. But what do you think? Is there anything else in the October launch that is surprising to you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!